training session on fundamentals of cryptocurrencies. I am super excited to give you the training session on cryptocurrencies fundamental. I am really thankful for the TDRA for providing me the opportunity for this training session. So, this is Umar Aziz and I have been working in information technology industry from last 17 years. I get a chance to work with different web application, mobile applications, desktop application, and data science products, and then blockchain. So today we are going to have a session on the first ever implementation of the blockchain, and that is cryptocurrency. So let's have a look on today's menu. So we are going to complete this training session in three steps. In the step one, we are going to have the understanding about the double spending, the major problem in the cryptocurrencies. And in step two, we are going to have the five fundamental forces that make Bitcoin very attractive, impressive, transparent, immutable. And in step three, we are going to talk about the cryptocurrency application and wallets. So let's get started, and we are going to have the step one that is our double spending and the cryptocurrencies. So let's have a look. What is double spending problem? The founder of Bitcoin, who is Satoshi Nakamoto, he has reported this issue that one person can pay to the different stores at the same time with the same money. So this problem is called a double spending. For example, I want to buy a movie from Netflix and I make payment in the Bitcoin. Similarly, I want to buy a one pair of gloves from Amazon and I use the same Bitcoin for doing so. If the double spending problem exists, then the same money can be used on two different suppliers, and this is the problem. So, how to overcome this problem? So, there are a solution about this problem that the double spending can be avoided by giving some powers to the cryptocurrencies. And these powers are called the five fundamental forces in the main powers that make the cryptocurrencies very attractive. So, in this problem, to avoid the coins, there is an intermediate place, so that is called a mint, where the spent information of the coin is being kept, and then it is being checked by the second supplier, or the same coin is being used by some other uh, buyer or not. If it happens to some other stores, then this same coin will not be allowed to process the transaction on another store. So this type of problem can be avoided with the help of cryptocurrency, and that is called the most famous in the first ever cryptocurrency, and that is a Bitcoin. So, in that case, the payee had a proof that it has been received the money on the transaction. So, this proof can help other suppliers to avoid to use the same cryptocurrency on their online store. So we know this is the world of internet and the world of digital currency and the world of online payments. So we are buying a lot of things from Amazon, we are buying a lot of things from eBay, we are going to buy many things from Walmart, and everything is delivered to our doorstep. So we most of the time use credit cards, our online cash systems, PayPal, and now few websites are allowing to use the cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum on their websites. So this problem may occur because there is a lot of transactions online due to the availability of online stores and also the availability of peoples to shop online. Yes, we just came out of the COVID 19, and in the time of COVID 19, most of the people stayed at home. And by staying at home, definitely they need some products for their households and for their groceries and for their foods and vegetables. So most of the people started buying online. So in COVID-19 period, the most of the purchases were done online and the e-commerce industry was boosted and it has done the record sale in that period. So also in the double spending, uh, it is actually the alternate of the online payment systems that are provided by the banks. So banks can make payments with the help of IBANs, and they can also make payments with the help of wire transfer that is called a SWIFT. So similarly, there is a very good solution of making payment online. So what is the advantage of using the Bitcoin or the other cryptocurrencies online is that it allows it allows us to keep the secret of buyer and seller. So in Bitcoin, no one knows that who is the buyer and who is the seller, and it keeps the information very secret. So it means there is no intermediaries or third parties are involved. If I am going to make the payment through IBAN or I am going to make the payment through SWIFT, definitely the bank staff knows that I am paying my amounts to the supplier X in some other part of the world. So this leakage of the information may result in the loss of some information or the personal loss to me or the supplier. So to avoid this, most of the suppliers and the buyers need the secrecy. So for this secrecy, they adopted the cryptocurrencies in which that is decentralized, means there is no intermediate person who is knowing about the transaction, and there is no third parties who are going to charge for some amount for some intermediate expenses and also some operative expenses. So this made a Bitcoin more susceptible in the world. So this is one of the decentralized, cryptographically hashed peer to peer network and the consensus mechanism and the software code base. So, these are the five features that are present in the cryptocurrencies, and these five features make this double spending feature uh, totally unallowable and make it more reliable due to its features. So let's have a look on the next session. And so now we talk about the question about this section. Do you think that the double spending had more risk than the third party intermediaries? So what do you think? Because the cryptocurrencies are going to avoid the third parties, and these third parties are going to have some secret information about the sender and the buyer, and also they are going to have some charges for doing this. So I'm waiting for your answer, and you can give your answer, and after that I'm going to give you the answer here as well. Okay, let's have a look on the answer. And the answer is yes, double spending is solved in the Bitcoin blockchain. So the third parties are expensive and centralized, which creates a lot of risk for the investors. So that's the answer for this question. Let's go to the next section, and that is Bitcoin five fundamental forces. We already know that these five fundamental forces are going to solve the double spending problem in the cryptocurrencies. So, what are these five forces? That is distributed ledger technology, and then cryptography means secured hash algorithms, and the third one is consensus mechanism that is rooted on the basis of game theory, and in the case of cryptocurrencies we say this as a proof of work, and the fourth one is peer-to-peer network, and the fifth one is the programmability, that is software code base. So these are the five fundamental forces that remove the problem of uh, double spending in cryptocurrencies. So we will dive in these areas and we are going to look about the first ever fundamental force of cryptocurrency, and that is called a distributed ledger technology. For example, if we are going to have a Mercedes cars, and these cars are delivered to different stores, and these stores are going to have the sale of these cars. So the manufacturing factory is going to give these cars to the store, and the store is going to this car to the customer. So in this case, when the car is manufactured here and it is delivered to the store, then this car is made having no information to the store. The store is only having the total 5 cars they receive. Even they have manufactured the 50 cars, but they don't know about the 44 cars, 45 cars. Similarly, when it is going to sell this to person 1 and the other car to the other person, and this person is also having a second car, but these two persons don't know about each other. It means we have the ledger of information individually. The manufacturing company is having its own ledger, the car selling place is having its own ledger, and every individual customer is having its own ledger. So they don't know the centralized information about each other. So how this can be managed with the help of distributed ledger technology. For example, the manufacturer, the first one is having the information of 50 cars manufactured. This information is also shared to the second person who is the reseller, and it is also having the same information that the 50 cars are manufactured at the store. Similarly, when this person is going to sell the cars to the customer, and there are two different customers who have two different cars, then this is customer A and this is customer B. This information is present in this ledger. So this information is also updated to the manufacturer ledgers. So in this way, the ledger is distributed among all the users that are present here, and so uh, they all users can have a very good understanding of how many items were manufactured and uh, how many items were manufactured and how many were being delivered to the intermediaries, means the resellers, and how many were available for the sales on the intermediaries, and also which car was sold to the which customer. So in this way the whole information about the car is stored to all three places, and this is called a distributed ledger technology. So this is one of the feature of cryptocurrencies, that it is having a feature of distributed ledger technology. So in this way, we can have the centralized information, decentralized information to share between all the parties that are being part of the cryptocurrency. And the second feature is the cryptography, which means we have disguise the name. For example, there is a person whose name is Tom, and we gave this Tom a different name that is called Agent B. So whenever we want to talk about the Tom, we say, yeah, the B is here, the agent B is here, the agent B is in Argentine, or the agent B is in Middle East. So we talk about agent B, and this is the disguised name. Similarly, in cryptocurrencies, we want to pay the amount to the different persons in the form of cryptocurrencies. But here, if I want to talk about that, I have paid 5 bitcoins to the person B, then the name of the Tom will be B here, and B, Tom has paid 5 bitcoins to the person C. So who is C? We can say that is Nadine, and who is named as Agent C. So, how this task is achieved in cryptocurrencies, that is achieved with the help of cryptography. So, the cryptography is way of using the cryptographically hash codes, and these hash codes are called uh, skewed hash algorithm techniques. We give some information as an input, and they show us the disguised names as outputs. So this is one of the feature of Bitcoin, and also these cipher names are recognized as digital signatures. Now, the third most important part of the cryptocurrencies is the consensus mechanism. We know that there are no third parties. When there are no third parties, then who is making the decision? So that is very critical. Then there is a democracy. All the time there is democracy, that all the nodes that are connected to the blockchain, they all are going to talk with each other to make some decision. For example, there is node 1 on a blockchain, and there is node 2 on a blockchain, and they both are connected with each other, and there is also a chain with another node, and this node is also having the information. So all three are connected. Now they have to make the decision, either they are going to add the block or not. Then there will be a consensus between all three nodes. Yes, it will give its option, yes, add the block. Then this will ask that the node 1, 2, and 3. So it will pass the message that node 1 and me are agreed to add the block. Are you agree? It says yes. And then it will ask the node 1 that node 2 is saying that you want to add the block to the blockchain. So in this way, the consensus is made, and this is a type of democracy, and this is also called a proof of work. So it is based on the game theory, and game theory is the famous management theory. When the manager has to make some critical decision, either there are employee 1 and the employee 2. The manager has to choose, either one must be retained and the other must be taken out. So, if we have to choose between any two of the employees, then this is called a game theory for making decision. Means the A and B, they don't want to work with each other, and the manager had to decide uh, that either uh, the one will be retained or the two will be retained. So the manager make decision on the basis of game theory, that which employees is important. So he will be having the characteristics and importance of employee A and the characteristics and importance of employee B. and then it found that the B is more important as compared to the A, then the B is retained and the A is dropped. So this is called a game theory. Similar game theory is used in the cryptocurrencies, and this is named as consensus mechanism. So consensus mechanism is based on management game theory. So there is the famous algorithm, and that is called Byzantine fault tolerance algorithm. That is BFT, and it is the solution to the problem that which employee will be retained and the which employee will be uh, removed from the job. So this decision is made on the network and it is called the consensus of nodes. So as the managers decide in management, similarly they decide in here in the blockchain there are not any managers. There are the nodes. And who are the nodes? Nodes are the connected computers to the blockchain, and they are going to make decision by the democracy. The more nodes are agreed to the decision, so the decision is made on that point. So so decision is made when the maximum number of nodes are agreed on some point. So in that way, it makes the more attractive cryptocurrencies, and the consensus mechanism is implemented. Similarly, for the mining. So, what is mining? Simply, if we talk about the mining, we have mines of gold, we have mines of coal, we have mines of diamonds, and we are going to take out the diamonds out of the mines, and these diamonds are kept to the manufacturing year where they are prepared and modified. So the process of getting out the diamonds from the mines is called mining. Then what is mining in case of blockchain? So for adding a new block to the blockchain, when we want to add a new block to the blockchain, then this is called a mining process. So the miners have to do a lot of effort to get diamonds out. Similarly, the miners here in blockchain has to do a lot of effort to get the block out into the blockchain. So adding a new block to the blockchain is called mining. So in reward of mining the diamonds, they are getting the diamonds back. Similarly, in reward of mining a blockchain, they are getting a mining incentive. The mining incentive. So, what is this mining incentive? This mining incentive is a Bitcoin amounts that are being paid by all the persons whose transactions are added to this block. So, this block is having the information about the transactions. Means the person A paid some Bitcoins to the person B, and similarly, C has paid some bitcoins to the D, and these both transactions are the part of this block in the blockchain. So, but for completing this transaction, they give some extra amount of the cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. For example, A says, I will give zero point 0.1 Bitcoin as an extra amount of this transaction. And C says that I will give 0.25 amount of Bitcoin as an extra amount to this transaction. But when these two transactions are the part of block, this extra amount 0.1 and 0.25, and the total is 0.35 that is paid to the person who successfully added a block to the blockchain. So this process is called the mining. So there is a lot of money for doing this thing. So a lot of peoples are attracted for doing this. And those who are doing this are called the miners. So these miners have interest of adding the blocks to the blockchain, and they get paid back in the form of bitcoins. So they are looking at this bitcoin currencies that is extra in the transaction, and they are being paid, and that is called the mining incentive. So how the mining incentive is delivered to the miner, so that is also done with the help of consensus mechanism. So the consensus mechanism decide. So we had a question, and that is very interesting question, that how the cryptocurrencies are safe. So the cryptocurrencies are safe because there are no third parties. When there are no third parties, and as a second feature, they are cryptographically hashed, means no one knows that who am I. Then we quickly go and understand that no one is knowing me. Let me have a very good review to you on the here is a uh, blockchain explorer, and we are going to see blockchain explorer. So here is the blockchain explorer, and you can see that is a blockchain explorer which is showing me a lot of blocks here, latest block that are the part of this blockchain. So I click on the block that is added 8 minutes ago, and we can see there are the different transactions. So this is the hash of the transaction, means this transaction is happened on this hash. And this is the cryptographically hash code. If it is me, no one knows that I am sending or receiving this amount. So that made the security at the blockchain or the Bitcoin that no one can else have the look that who is sending money to the home. Similarly, it is cryptographically hashed, so no original names are there. Even the Bitcoin amounts are there, but no original names are there. So because of this cryptographically hash code, we say that the cryptocurrencies are uh, very secure and reliable. So So we can have the answer of our question that how the cryptocurrencies are secured because of cryptographically hash codes that are being provided in the uh, uh, transaction when it is being become the part of the block in the blockchain. So here is the detail about the block header. So a summary of all the transaction data in the candidate block. So I'll link to the previous block in the chain, also known as the parent block, and the timestamp showing the time of the creation of the block, and also a valid proof of work. Similarly, as I have talked about the miners in the previous slide, so the miner has to get the Bitcoin as a mining reward. But before the block is added to the blockchain, the miner has to do some effort. And this effort is called proof of work. Means there is some puzzle that must be solved by the miner in order to add the block in the blockchain. So we have already a blockchain, and this new block is added to this blockchain by solving a puzzle, and this puzzle is solved by the miner, and then this block become the part of the blockchain, and the reward of mining this puzzle, solving this puzzle and mining this block, the miner will get the bitcoins as a reward. So here we can see I bring all of you to the blockchain explorer, and here you can see a diagram that is showing a uniquely identifiable hash code that represent a block. So this is a unique code of the block, and this is the unique code of the previous block, and we know that every new block is connected to the previous block in the blockchain. So similarly, there is a transaction hash, and that is called transaction hash, which means that the transaction is also cryptographically transformed. So these all things make blockchain very secure and very reliable. Now here is the hash function. What is the hash function? The hash function is the process of converting the original information into the digital fingerprint. So the digital fingerprint is generated from the information that is used as an input. So here we say this is input and this is output, and between that there is a hash function which is going to convert the input, this big input, into that small output, and this small output is also called a digital fingerprint. So this consensus mechanism made the blockchain more reliable. So this is one of the fundamental forces of cryptocurrencies, and this is called a consensus mechanism. So here we can see uh, the block header hash and the target difficulty level. So I told you that every time miner have to solve some puzzle, and this puzzle is solved on the basis of one integer, and that integer is called nouns. So we can say nouns is in some range. So these are the total ranges where the nouns is generated. For example, the nouns is 5, it is here, and that is not accepted area, and this is the accepted area. And when the nouns is 120, it is here. When the nouns is 3, it can be here. When the nouns is 6, it can be here. When the noun says 9, it can be here. When the noun says 22, it can be here. But the target range can be, we say, it is 121. So this is in the range. The nouns is in the correct range, and it allows to add a new block to this blockchain. So this nouns is to solve a puzzle, and this is the task of miner. So the miner is going to solve this puzzle and going to have a nouns, and this nouns will help miner to add a block to the blockchain. As the new block is added to the blockchain, the miner is paid back. So when it is paid back, that is in the form of cryptocurrencies. If it is working on a Bitcoin, that is Bitcoin. If they are working on Ethereum, then this is Ethercoin. And if they are working on Solana, then they will get reward in the form of that cryptocurrencies. That is not possible. The someone is working on Bitcoin but getting reward in the form of Ethereum. That is not possible. Someone is working on Solana and getting reward in Bitcoin. No. The blockchain on which the miner is working, it is getting the rewards in the same blockchain currencies. So I hope you had a good understanding on that. Now go to the next slide. The block header hash and the target difficulty level. As I have shown you earlier, here are the target difficulty levels. So these all are not accepted, but this is accepted. When it is accepted, then this becomes the part of accepted block in the blockchain. Now, practical example. Here we can see that there is a goal throw a number lower than 10 means when the two uh, coins, the two dices were thrown by the two-person. If the target is equal to 10, then it wins. If the result of two dices face values is not 10, then we can say they lost, and when they lost they have to try again. So again and again both players will try, and the player that will get the 10 value first will be the winner of this game. Similarly, all the miners are trying to solve the puzzle, and the when the any one of the miner will solve the puzzle, he will be able to add a block to the blockchain. So that's the theory and a mystery behind this. And this is solved by the third feature, the third fundamental force of a blockchain and the cryptocurrencies, that is called consensus mechanism. So it can be more difficult if we have two dices and we say the target is 5. So it is easy to get 10 because 10 is having more combinations. But it is difficulty to get 5 because 5 is having less combinations. So similarly, in the blockchain, we say that the miner is having a high difficulty level. So the difficulty level means it is very difficult for the miner to add the block in the blockchain. So this difficulty level will depend upon the power of miner. The more powerful miners are there, the more difficulty is there. So if the power of the miners is more, then the difficulty is more. And if the power of miners are less, then the difficulty level for the mining a block in the blockchain will be automatically decreased. So that is the beauty of cryptocurrencies. And this all things are managed with the help of consensus mechanism. So the consensus mechanism make it powerful, and there is a pre-written computer program that make the decision. Because it is decentralized, there are no third parties who are going to make the decisions. Now, if we set the target to 2, so 2 is more harder than 5, and the 5 is more harder than 10. So the difficulty level increases when the power of miner increases. And this is managed with the help of consensus mechanism in the blockchain, and this all process is used to add a block to the blockchain. So now these all are the criterias for a valid block in a blockchain. For example, the all transactions are verified means the senders and receivers are agreed, and all the nodes on the blockchain said that the transactions are valid, and all the blocks are linked to the previous block hash, and the timestamp at which time the block is added to the blockchain, and also the block reward is calculated correctly, and there is a proof of work, and that is called a consensus mechanism which made the blockchain valid. So if all these 5 points are verified, then the block is added to the blockchain, and uh, if any one of this is missing, then this is called the misbehave of the miner, and that will not allow the block to be added to the blockchain. And who will control this? Yes, this is the consensus mechanism, and this consensus mechanism is a program that is automatically going to control the blockchain decision making system. So here we say that when the one block is added to the blockchain, the other block added to the blockchain is called the confirmation of that blockchain. So this block was added, and 5 more blocks means they are connected to this, and this is 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 connected to this. So this is my block, and these 5 are the five confirmation to my block. So when the transactions are considered as valid in the blockchain, when there are 100 confirmations of the blocks. So we know that every cryptocurrency block takes 10 minutes to add a new block to the blockchain. So it means it takes approximately 100 times 10 minutes to make the transaction valid to avoid any misbehave of the miners in the blockchain, and that are the rules and regulations set by the consensus mechanism. Now, the block rewards are transferred to the miners and they are going to have it. So, here is another example. For example, there are a car company who are selling the car and they say we accept the Bitcoin, and they give one car for paying 10 Bitcoins. So, similarly, that person can have the car by paying the uh, 10 bitcoins, and similarly, they can have a connection with some other person who is working in the uh, back servers, and it says that the person who is going to buy the car may be having connection with the some miner who is going to pick up the transaction of that person quickly, and then going to add it to the blockchain. And in the meantime, this person is also going to buy another thing from Amazon. So in this way, they can have a double spending. But we know that there is a mint intermediate place, and due to the consensus mechanism, and this miners misbehave can be managed in the blockchain ecosystem. So Ethereum is not equal to Bitcoin. Ethereum is a bit different from Bitcoin. So in Bitcoin, we only have a transaction, and this transaction says that the A person has paid some Bitcoins to the person B. But in case of Ethereum, there is a transaction as well as smart contracts as well. And what is a smart contract? Means the automatically information that is being recorded on a blockchain, and these are executed on a smart devices. For example, we had a washing machine and I want to repair it. A person come and repaired the washing machine, and we decided $100 for the repairing cost. But when I see that the repairing person or the mechanic hasn't done a lot of work, I say no, I will pay $25. It's not the worth of $100, but he will say on the call you agreed to pay the $100. So there is a uh, possibility of conflict between two persons. To avoid the conflict, whenever the task is complete, automatically the $100 is paid to the other persons. To achieve this task, there is a smart contracts on a blockchain, and Bitcoin does not support any smart contract. Ethereum is the only coin that supports the smart contracts. So for all the world of information technology and internet of things, so the Ethereum is mostly accepted for these transactions because they are having the ability of making automatically autonomous contracts with the help of IoT devices. So this is the way the Ethereum is most accepted. So it is the story of Vitalik Buterin, who was working in Bitcoin, and he given the concept of colored coin. And colored coin means I had bought a property or a car by paying the Bitcoins. Then this car is permanently added to the coins. And this color is having some extra information about the asset. Because of this extra information, this is called a colored coin. So that is the Peter Thiel, who's the founder of PayPal, and he thought that he can add a concept, and he was the founder of Ethereum. He has given the funds and scholarships to the Vitalik Buterin to work and generate a new cryptocurrency. So he was one of the founders of Ethereum. So now here is the fourth quality, and that is called a peer-to-peer network. It means all the all the persons who are connected to the blockchain has the copy of blockchain. So all the connected nodes have the copy of blockchain. So this is called peer-to-peer, means all the nodes have equal power in the blockchain and they can have equal access to all the blockchain. So this blockchain is present on node 1 as a different copy, and the same blockchain is present on uh, node 2, and similarly there is node 3 and there is a blockchain that is present here. So this is called peer-to-peer network, means all the nodes have equal powers to contain a blockchain on it. So that's the fourth feature of blockchain that make it more reliable and attractive. Now the fifth one is the code base, means I want to modify the blockchain and make it according to my requirements. So the GitHub is here and I am having the soft code, the source code of the blockchain, and I can modify it according to my requirement. So this is the fifth feature of the blockchain which make it more reliable and acceptable. So now a very short question. Five forces provided the trust and transparency with low cost in crypto cash payment system. So what is your answer? Give it quickly. And the answer is yes, the peer-to-peer electronic payment system unbanked more than 2 billion people due to its and trust and reliability. Now we are going to the third part, and that is called the cryptocurrency application and wallets. So there is another way we can look into the Bitcoin, and that is the application platform. So the features of the blockchain are programmability, transparency, immutability, integrity, accountability. So these key features make the auditability, decentralized, consensus, timestamping, security, peer-to-peer, and open source. We already discussed all these five forces in the blockchain application. So here are some notice available online links where you can find the applications that are using the blockchain as their uh, implementation. So here is a story about the China who had first want to introduce the cash, the paper money, and then the other Europe came and they have started to have the monies in there. And now there is a Vitalik Buterin who was funded by Peter Thiel, and he has introduced the third biggest cryptocurrency, the second biggest cryptocurrency, and that is called an Ethereum. So the Ethereum is having a virtual machine. All the code in the Ethereum is not only on a node, but also every node is having a separate machine. So it means all the smart contracts will run on that machine and they will not go out of this. So all the other program of this node are separated from the smart contracts that are running on virtual machine. So that is the feature of Ethereum that made it more reliable. Now we have the final question about this section. Why the blockchain applications are called dApps? So all the applications that are automatically running the smart contracts, and then these are called the dApps. So here is the answer for the question, because they use blockchain as a backend instead of the traditional databases. So the dApps are transparent and decentralized with more trust and transparency. So now we have all three sections completed and we have the answers for all three section questions. Now it's time for all of you to give the answers of the 10 short questions about this training session. Thank you.